to be banned out. They do really like the early pick Tuskar. Typically, they pick him up a lot. Same for an early pick Gyrocopter, a hero that they like to either ban or pick up. Both of those heroes could be on the chopping block here. Both of those heroes relatively successful.
Radiant team banned.
Juggernaut being... Oh, good. I was just going to try to give you some time to get the stream together.
Keep talking. Sorry.
So the Juggernaut being banned out here is also interesting. Hero that typically does decently well into IO ganks. And just because he does have that instant magic immunity that he can always turn on, he can also kind of wait out a potential gank with an Omni Slash, or even if he gets lucky bounces, switch it on to his opponents. He pushes well, which is not necessarily what an IO wants. An IO would have more open reign on the map in order to really utilize that relocate for better ganks, for better potential. If he is being pushed up into his base, they have less map control, they're going to have less vision, and because of that, the IO is not going to be able to use to his fullest potential. We already see the tiny ban coming out from Danish Bears. That's a fairly obvious phoned-in ban. If you see the IO, getting rid of the tiny is an all-time classic strategy. Batrider here seeming to imply that Tornado RoX are really going to be going for a very gank-heavy strategy. And right now, they don't really have anything in way of significant, reliable wave clear, nor do they have anything in terms of tower siege. They have great tower initiation, but nothing really to knock down those structures. So expect either a very right-click oriented carry to come out, somebody who might pick up a Desolator, or expect some sort of a support that does physical damage to structures to come out. Shadow Shaman is still in the pool, and we've seen a bit of that, even though he has not been wildly successful. That could be something to come out here. How are we doing on our technology problems there, Llama?
I can talk ahead. I just need to... I'm just keeping an eye, hoping that the stream restarts soon, or I have to do another restart. Sometimes fun things. Either way, as you said, lots... Oh, the Drow ban out. That's cute. We actually had a Drow lineup. Excellent. We're back. So they actually heard a bunch of the discussion, I think, earlier. And yeah, we're good. Either way, so the Drow ban out to me is really interesting. We actually saw a Drow lineup played today by Hellraisers. It was unsuccessful, but always something to keep an eye on with the Venge having auras. Drow can also have auras as well. I'm kind of surprised, though, that we see that over someone like the Oracle or the Faceless Void.
Yeah, it also, if the Drow kind of fits with the Invoker, it gives you that right click, it gives you that potential to maybe knock down structures that much faster. If you do see two very right click oriented, strong, especially with the Vengeful Spirit aura, ranged heroes, and if you have seen Drow come up recently, it might be worth the ban. Tornado RoX just trying to pick out the lesser of two evils here to go up against.
I don't know if that's the lesser of two. I mean, I'd be much more worried about the Invoker, Faceless Void, Sunstrike into the Chronosphere combo, but you're right, getting the Witch Doctor is nice. We've still actually got a surprising number of very common meta heroes available. For example, the Chen is still up. Danish Bears might be able to find some space for that.
Yes, maybe. Right now they have a lot of paths they can go down. They have, as we mentioned, the Vengeful Spirit aura. They already have the counter out to the Batrider, so their defensive stats around their towers should be all right. If that Invoker wants to go into an Exort style build, they probably will want to push out a bit. They got rid of the Death Prophet, which also implies that they might want to be able to push without the strong possibility of a counter push coming out. Or they could go for a more AoE fight-oriented strategy. That Vengeful Spirit will make that much more possible because he'll be able to counter out the Batrider right away.
Yeah, it's also really rough to pick the Chen into the Witch Doctor, but does synergize now well with the rest of these heroes. Choices. It's gonna be a Coddle.
Alright.
This is a really uncommon pick.
So are we going to see that alongside a lane casting carry? Somebody like a Phantom Lancer, so for example, a classic combination with the Keeper of the Light?
I mean, I'm trying to... There was probably actually a recent... With how much Dota is played, there's probably a pretty recent Keeper of the Light game in professional Dota. I'd be really interested to see how it went. As you mentioned, he can certainly buff up someone. It could even just be for constant magic missile spam or something. That spell is nothing to scoff at. But
Reserve
As you
So
said,
Mars
it's
TV was
interesting.
the last Keeper of the Light game, and it was a loss from LGD against CG. That was a Keeper of Light in combination with a Morphling and an Invoker. So just keeping our eyes on the past to look at what they might be looking at in the future. Maybe they're thinking about running a similar style of strategy here. They do have the Vengeful Spirit in order to create their initiation. That would fill that role. So possibly a Morphling coming out. Also, as I mentioned, classic combo with the Phantom Lancer. You get the Spirit Lance in lane. Now they're going to need some wave clear, though. They have the Keeper of the Light, but that's an
They
early
picked
pick
a
on a
Broodmother
Broodmother.
into a Keeper of the Light. You just said they need wave clear, but
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I do agree the Broodmother's gonna run over them if she gets the level advantage. But
Yeah.
at some point, this Coddle, if the Brood isn't careful, is just gonna blast it. What is this draw?
So here's the issue with the Coldle into the Broodmother, is that he has great wave clear, but he has to hold still
10
to
seconds
use it,
remaining.
and you can kind of see it coming. And Broodmother is very
5
fast, and
seconds
Keeper of the Light
remaining.
is not very strong. The Legion Commander works really well into the Broodmother, however. The overwhelming odds really helping out there. If Coldle is left by himself to handle the Spiderling army, he will find himself consumed really quickly. He can kind of knock it down from a safe distance, but once those webs start to get up, once that infrastructure is in place, it's very dangerous for a Keeper of the Light to be the contesting hero against a Broodmother. But with overwhelming odds, now they have a core who will also be able to stand there and make it work. Against a Legion Commander, it's much more difficult for a Broodmother to just walk up and knock down safely
10
the hero who
seconds
is being a
remaining.
thorn in her side.
Now, really interestingly, we'll probably see at the
5
beginning of the
seconds
game
remaining.
early wards coming out because both teams really want to
Mhm.
spot what the lanes are because, as you said, they want the Legion Commander
Reserve
up against
time.
the Broodmother. This will be... So, I'm expecting TPs out to get down early
Dire
wards,
team
but
pick.
there should be some scouting. An Ursa ban from Danish Bears, another good combo with the IO.
Yeah, that is a fantastic combo with the Eye. Also works fairly well with the Bat Rider. They're going to grab Sven instead also.
Radiant
With the
team
Stormhammer and the God Strength, Sven is able to just tear through heroes with a quick relocate. And because God Strength is a relatively low cooldown, it works out really well to pair up with that relocate.
It also feels like a nice little bit of a block pick. There's not huge synergy, but of course the Sven does very well in lane if he ends up against the Broodmother, just because of the cleave. And as you said, God
10
Strength, you can
seconds
take out
remaining.
those babies pretty easily, so Danish Bears don't have an easy
5
carry for them.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, especially if this Legion Commander were to end up, for example, taking that semi-support
Reserve
jungle that we've seen her
yeah.
in recently. The Sven could be a surprise pickup in the safe lane that also handles the Broodmother and just completely shut her down, right? Which is absolutely not what you want. So the strategy that Tornado RoX have kind of put together is open up space for the
10
Broodmother
seconds
by
remaining.
applying gank pressure everywhere else and make it very difficult for Danish Bears to actually go out and
5
contest that
seconds
Broodmother
remaining.
as she split pushes. There's going to be an axe, another counter to the Broodmother. They really don't want to give her any space at all, which I think is a strong strategy here. Once again, a big contingency for Tornado RoX's success is that Broodmother has the space in order to force Danish Bears into really difficult decisions about positioning and engagement.
I'm pretty dang excited for this one. I'm really liking the innovative drafting coming out. I mean, Tornado RoX's lineup does look more like something we've seen before, but it's been a while since we've seen, or at least since I've gotten to cast a Broodmother. Most of the games I've been casting, she's get banned out. She does actually get picked up still pretty frequently, but a lot of teams just ban her, and so we'll see how this goes against the Broodmother. Players pick up their heroes. Pretty excited.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, this will also be interesting to see if they leave the Broodmother alone against
seconds
3
remaining.
pretty decent lane counters, or if they end up rotating her to maybe the safe lane and do an aggressive try. With the Io and the Witch Doctor, they could try that, but with a melee support, that's always risky. Obligatory early game scouting, Sunstrike coming out.
Prepare for battle.
And we aren't actually... Oh, okay, we do have one early TP out. Yeah, Axe just really wanting to get that ward out. It looks like they might be trying to put him in this offlane. I don't know if they're 100% decided on the exact plan.
I think the Bat will end up contesting in this off lane, and he's here for safety for the warding, but he should end up going mid.
Yeah,
and then we'll have
that's Biz.
yeah.
So he'll play that mid, and as you said, Legion Commander actually expecting to be bought up against the Brood.
This is smart. The Bat Rider actually coming over and knocking down some trees, making sure that there's vision for the Broodmother in lane. This is just to protect him from any side ganks. I really like this play, actually. Bat Rider making sure that the Broodmother will have lots of vision of anybody who comes in, even without a ward. And they are not really going to contest at all.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, as you said, that we don't have contesting going on. It just seems that both teams going to get their own. Broodmother may actually... Wait a second. They're not going to get one for the Bat Rider, which means that he is actually going bottom?
Oh.
Have they tricked? And also Legion Commander in a lot of trouble. She
Yeah.
does manage to get that speed boost. Not sure it'll get her far enough away. She eats a tree and she's out. Broodmother says we're not going for this one.
Yeah, I mean, she is out, but she's down a Tango. She's down a Sal before the laning stage even starts. That's a success, for sure, for this support rotation.
The mid Broodmother, this is something that, what is it, Team Archon would run? Monkeys Forever playing that mid Brood?
Yeah, this is something that we don't see very often, but we certainly have seen it in the past. I'm not sure how it'll end up working out against the Invoker. Invoker's right-click can be pretty devastating if you are a relatively low health, low armor hero. The 2 base armor on the Broodmother is not overwhelmingly protective, and the mid lane is much easier to cover with Sentry Vision than another lane.
I mean, it's better, I think, than putting the Brood obviously up against the Legion Commander. The Legion Commander here, though, she has nice tools to deal with a bat. She can purge off sticky napalm. So.
Right. I don't think that they really have a hero to go into this off lane and contest very successfully, but the Bat Rider's going to do his best. Now, at least, having come down this off lane to knock down those trees is more defensive for him, apparently, than for the Broodmother. I really just worry about this mid lane getting 1 sentry down and completely shutting down Ghostic. But he's a very experienced Broodmother player. He knows what he's doing, and presumably he's coming into this lane because he's comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's pretty dang cool. Let's be honest. I wasn't expecting to see it again. We also, okay, y'all actually taking a little bit of harassment here. The Call does come off, but with no creeps around. The Stormhammer comes out, and Axe taking a lot of damage. Eats a Fairy Fire, a couple more autos. He goes down.
And meanwhile, there is an engagement going down as Bat Rider tries to cut the creeps, and now he's trying to use his Sticky Napalm and Firefly to run circles, grab this neutral camp, as well as the creeps. The Magic Missile's already gone out once. Another one would be a kill, but 1 level of Sticky Napalm is enough to keep the Vengeful Spirit from closing the gap.
Yeah, really well done there for the Bat Rider being able to get on out.
Maybe not. The Venge contesting the rune, and Bat has to be very careful about where he is positioning himself. He's trying to get enough mana for a Firefly so he can get out safely.
Now, obviously, we
up
top, yeah, we have action. We're gonna see the Coddle go down. There's not much they can do, it feels like, in this lane. I mean, it's an Axe. Yeah, he can battle hunger them.
And in the mid lane, the Courier goes down to the Brood lane.
Again, another nice pickoff for them, and they still don't have any sentries for this mid lane. Like, Tornado RoX are having a blast.
Yeah, that's honestly borderline inexcusable. And we do actually have 2 sentries on the Invoker now that he's gone back to the base, it looks like. But having not put any down in the lane, it's been making contesting really difficult. The Broodmother is sitting on top of the same last hits, basically, as the Invoker, so it's not like he's getting demolished in this lane, but he did lose a Courier because he's been unable to control the number of Spiderlings available. That just makes it so easy for her to dive the tower. She can have the Spiderlings tank the aggro, and she can push in anytime she sees a Courier, anytime she sees a hero that she wants to harass, really just manage the Spiderlings in that tower aggro.
Yeah, and also because you're not...
Up top!
You know,
Kobol's under fire again.
Noya gonna take a lot of damage. Axe is getting some really nice spins because there are so many creeps around, but Coddle does go down, and Axe, he's not quite able to catch up. There's a Stormhammer in 2 seconds with his name on it, and now Yol turning around, pounding in. There is gonna be a Magic Missile out on the Sven, but the auto attacks from the supports may be more than enough. One more. Io can't quite get into range. Ben's gonna try to take advantage of this, reduces Io's armor. He has Tether up in 1 second. The Coddle Blast is gonna be enough to bring him down.
Yeah, and Io with reduced armor at this stage of the game, obviously that was magical damage, but a single right click from Venge takes away like a fifth of his health when he's sitting at -3 armor.
Yeah, the reduced armor, I think one of the tower hits also, right? It did extra damage. I think the Cold Blast would have gotten him anyway, but...
Yeah, it would have because the armor reduction doesn't change the magical damage that comes out, but you really do have to worry about holding on to an Io who has, I think, -0.54 armor base. Like, I'm pretty sure Io is the lowest base armor in the game. Into negative armor, you do have to be very careful.
He starts with positive armor, but there are some who start with negative. I'm trying to think. Maybe it's Skyrath? But yeah, no, I meant the tower shot from this tower up top.
Yeah.
Hit him after the minus armor was applied, and I don't know if that was what brought him low enough, because this is a level 1 Illuminate. So I don't know if that is a good point for it, but it may have been. Either way, they got something finally on the board, and now Broodmother's going bottom.
Yeah, they're rotating the Batrider out. Batrider hasn't really gotten very much. He's basically only been relegated to his opponent's jungle, trying to get whatever he can. He is level 4, so he has been getting his levels up. He's getting sort of close to his Blink Dagger. He's about halfway there. And the Broodmother had such a good lane that she now feels more comfortable moving up into this aggressive stance in the off lane. And in the mid lane, it's really not only very difficult to...
the duel in the mid lane. I'm not sure they have enough damage, even with the Illuminate. Not gonna get it. They do get the kill. No duel win, though.
So what I was going to say on the Broodmother in the mid lane, you do want to rotate her out eventually, if only because if you're setting up all this web infrastructure in the mid lane, you're not getting very much out of it relative to the amount of space that you control. But if you do it in the bottom lane or in your opponent's safe lane, not only do you control the jungle with those webs, but also an entire lane. It makes a much better just infrastructure advantage if you do eventually come to this bottom lane and set up your webs.
Additionally, she's got the levels lead, so if she finds any of these supports, they're gonna have a bad time. It's not nice. And speaking of things that aren't nice, we've got 2 supports. They don't have dust, they only have sentries.
Yeah, sentries work okay against the Broodmother as opposed to dust, just because you know where she's going to be invisible, right? Axe is going to get a pretty penny off that call.
Yeah, but at the same time, he may have led his teammates to their demise. The coconut bounces Noya, there's no escape, and now going in after the Venge. Axe trying to find Broodmother, but not much hope here, and Noya taking those sticky napalm stacks and the burning and the maledict. Noya going down, unable to get a magic missile off or anything. Axe trying to go for a call here. At the same time, is there a duel coming out? This should be an easy win, this one. So finally, Ace gets some duel damage, and at the same time, we are seeing Yol being chased down. Noya is back, has that level 1 or level 2 Illuminate, but the Cole unable to get it off. Oh, quite a bit of damage on Yol, but I don't think they can continue the chase. They back on out.
They got the duel win, at least, and they traded off a couple of supports. Their Keeper Light is so far behind at this point that losing him, honestly, isn't that big of an impact economically in the game. RoX did take more gold out of that, but the Legion Commander is the hero who got gold for DB and also got some damage out of that. All things said and done, slightly in favor of RoX maybe, but it's an exchange that I think Danish Bears are willing to take.
Yeah, it's also very hard to quantify the Legion Commander getting damage. Sure, it's 10 right now, but that adds up, and at some point, it's as if you have extra damage items, so...
Right, you get 10 here, 10 there, it stacks up really quickly.
Now, this Invoker, he is maxing Exort, but I'm not sure if he's going for the Midas now. It's going to be a pretty late Midas.
Yeah, it's not the latest Midas I've ever seen out of the mid, right? It's especially with the rotations that have been forced out and the fact that he did kind of get forced out of the lane by the Broodmother due to his lack of vision there. But if he does get the Midas now, he really is going to become dependent, or not even now, it'll come out in about 2 minutes. And if he does that, he's going to become really dependent on having some space, and Broodmother is not exactly the hero known for giving that much space or leniency.
Yeah, Ghostic. His D-Sentry there misses on the bottom, but they pop a dust hoping to catch him, and now he may just keep pulling their creep wave.
This is exactly what I've been talking about, or what I was talking about, regarding the Broodmother and the Keeper Light. If you've been watching this waltz between them, Keeper Light's been forced back behind the tower.
There's got to be a duel at the ready. The
there
dust,
we go.
I believe, has hit Ghostic. They're going to wait till he gets a little bit lower, and here's another easy duel win for Ace.
Yeah, and once again, just trying to get those duels whenever they possibly can, even if it does mean that they're making out trades, still comes out in their favor. That one, obviously, no trade necessary, works out really well. They did smoke up, but they won't have the duel by the time the smoke ends up being dissipated, so they're presumably just trying to grab a kill, try to feed into this Invoker a bit. Invoker is successfully baiting. The IO's coming in.
Yeah, there's gonna be a relocate coming in. Sven has that gold string. Pingvachek almost gets out, but no such luck, and now they've also got the axe. 2 quick kills, 4 tornado rocks, not much they can do, and they're like, hey Coddle, we hear you have very low everything. What's wrong with you?
Poor Invoker got thrown out a worm on the hook, and they pulled in a much bigger fish than they expected.
Yeah, the relocate coming out, and
I'm not sure if they were aware that that relocate was up, or if they just didn't expect it to come in for that, but there's Ace jumping on the IO, trying to get a quick duel, but with the Sven nearby, he's not really going to be able to do that much. Blink Dagger is up on Legion Commander, by the way, so she should be able to go out and grab as many duels as she can find IOs by himself.
He's leading the net worth chart, which is really nice, but at the same time, Broodmother, after buying up a bit of the Orchid, has gone back for the Midas. So deciding that she doesn't want to fall behind, and wanting to make sure that she will be a factor in this game.
Right, and they continue to be forced to really ignore this Broodmother, which is the game plan with the Broodmother typically. You want to force your opponents to ignore her until they no longer can, and at that point it's too late. They've been doing a really good job of forcing DB to have their heads up around the map and not down here contesting this Broodmother very effectively. For the most part, with barring, of course, that duel loss that the Broodmother did fall into earlier.
And 102 deaths on
duel mid.
Ooh, gets that
Witch Doctor going down. Yeah, Sunstrike for the another chunk of free damage. Already 30 duel damage for Ace. So even though, up top.
Oh no, okay. Yep.
No relocate necessary on that.
Yeah, they are. This game is starting to pick up, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sven goes a blink. It's kind of something that sometimes when you're paired with the IO and you go the blink, you can really screw things up, but I wouldn't be surprised here if he tries to go for it.
Yeah, he might. With the IO, you don't necessarily need that. Stormhammer is a pretty good range, and if you trust your IO to place you where you need to be, and you trust your Bat Rider to be making
talking
initiations.
of trusting Bat Rider, they have gone on the axe and bottom relocate as well. Axe blown up before he can do anything.
Really nice relocate, just making sure that that AoE gold is being given to the Sven and the IO, even though they probably weren't necessary for that kill. They now have the Sven down here to push this tower. Question is, can they take this fight without those ults?
Okay, we have a dual long range onto Bat Rider. The Sunstrike will be enough. They get the winner. Ace may die for this, but a nice swap coming out of the Venge, now tanking that Death Ward. They have Sven coming back in. No Stormhammer for 5 more seconds. Illuminate gonna come on out. Ace blinks away to safety. I think they have some idea of where she went, but now Broodmother's onto the tower, and again, it is the poor Coddle going down. Pingvachek comes in, but this is not exactly where you want to be up in the face of a Godstring. Sven, they get the IO though, and now they've got a couple people they might be able to pick off. The coconuts though save Yol's life, and Ace going down. No, not quite yet. It's gonna be the Sven who goes down. So Ace got out on 50 health-ish.
Yeah, very, very low health. And that escape, by the way, wins them the fight. Up until that point, it looked like it could swing either way. If they lose Ace there, they probably lose another hero on the route, and probably the tower as well. They get Ace out, they get the kill on the Sven, and that completely turns around what could have been a bad retreat into an excellent fight. I think that swing ended up being something like 2,400 gold in their favor, or net worth, rather.
Yes.
And duel as well. They got a duel during that.
I think that was also a level 2 duel. No, that one, unfortunately,
no, still level
she
1.
hit the level 11 off of those kills. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but 40 duel damage at 13 minutes? That's really good.
Right, and also, just having duel level 2 this early means that she's going to rack it up faster and faster. It's, once again, one of those things that's hard to quantify. The value of specifically having this hero get a level 2 ult earlier, because every kill from that point on in the game is worth more.
Blunk in. He wanted the spiders, but he's gonna find a Death Ward. Relocate coming in too. Sunstrike does a bit of damage. There's a very low Witch Doctor in the backlines there, but with the relocate in, I don't think there's... Oh gosh, no, Ace jumped in. He wanted the dual damage, but he's not gonna get it.
is less than ideal. Certainly, giving the Sven kill onto your
And now
really farmed Legion commander.
there's more. I think that they have everything they need to take out these two supports, and Noya understands is TPing out to safety.
A nice TP away, a nice sacrifice by the Vengeful Spirit. Vengeful Spirit is one of 5 heroes in the game that actually wins more the more she dies in professional games, partially because of her ability to sacrifice with that nether swap and make plays. Now granted, she didn't nether swap for that sacrifice, but she understood her role there. She was going to die anyway. She threw out the stun. She stood in her tower to make sure that that Keeper Light could get away. It was the right play.
Yeah, as you said, I think we call it pile dying, right?
Highlight
yeah, it's where like people kill you and then they realize, oh, I actually got negative value out of killing you. Like I thought I got a hero bounty, but it's pile die. So in her case, Venge did a good job there as well.
Yeah, anytime you can lose one hero instead of 2 heroes, you might as well, right?
So,
but look at this stack. I didn't even notice them stacking this up because of all the action we've been seeing, but Top getting pretty easy gold right here.
Yeah, they'll get Tron a whole bunch. That's Tron, by the way. So we're like, letters, fun.
Right.
So I also I've had these explained to me by other folks, but yeah, Tron.
That that's one of those things that I knew, but I haven't seen this player around that much lately. I don't think I've cast them since they were Fantastic 5, right?
Exactly.
So it's been a while.
For folks who aren't so caught up, a while back, I think during the major right before the major qualifiers happened.
Yeah, it was in January, I think.
Yeah.
So
they had a bit of changes up there. They've been playing with this lineup for quite a while now, but they play a lot of regional tournaments, so it's maybe not something you've seen on bigger stages.
Right. Tron only officially joined them back, I think, honestly, like a few days ago. It was his official join day, but I think he did some scrims and some stand-ins with him before that. Yeah.
And they're allowed to move their rosters around since they are not a part of the majors and aren't affected by those locks.
Right. Obviously, less than ideal to not be part of the majors, but it is nice to be able to experiment as much as you need to, running into this long roster lock that's upcoming.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see, once we've actually seen the effects of the 6-month roster lock, kind of the analysis that'll come out of that, because I think only time will tell how it actually affects teams that, for example, DC's been able to change up their roster versus Archon isn't, even though Archon is having a rough time now. But let's not talk NA Dota, because I'm sure we got only Europeans watching. Probably actually only Pingvichex fans watching. And speaking of, we have a rotation from Danish Bears going in.
Yeah, it is under smoke as well.
The smoke is broken. They're going to find the Bat Rider. Easy dual win coming out. No available response from Tornado RoX.
54 damage at 17 minutes. We're really starting to get out of control on this Legion Commander. The Axe actually showing the value of this combination as well. The Culling Blade making duels that much easier to secure.
Even with that, though, as you mentioned, Legion Commander, lots of dual damage. They are over 4,000 net worth behind and 2,000 experience. That's one big team fight. Oh, they get the jump on the baby spiders. Wow. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, and it works. It works here against the Broodmother just because he wants to be able, all those units attacking him, give him that counterattack chance really ramped up, all those units for the overwhelming odds, and there isn't a lot for him to actually debuff, right? He's got the sticky napalm, and that's about it to take off, so it's not like he needs to be using press attack very frequently.
It's very interesting. So Bat Rider will throw out some harass, but then gonna back on out. I was just going to say, with the lead that they do have on Tornado RoX and a hero like Sven, who's going to hit her just with the God Strength, Legion Commander has her work cut out for her, even with 54 stolen damage. We have a relocate coming in. Speaking of Sven, he does not... Oh, he does have the blink, but something disabled it there. I did Cuddle disable it with the blind? I'm not sure, but this relocate is doing pretty much nothing. They might be able to catch Avenge on the back lines here, but... underwhelming, to say the least. And up in top, we're actually going to see the IO go down to the Axe, and now the lineup of Danish Bears looking like they're ready to reinitiate on Tornado RoX. Again, gap closing going to be the name of the game here. The Blade Mail is up. There is the dual damage and the Sunstrike. Hello, 68 damage.
I'm not seeing anything from hero damage in the log that would have blocked that. It looks like it was a Keeper to Light Illuminate caught him on the edge, according to the log. So
I was confused too. I was like, your blinding light shouldn't disable
no,
the
that
blink.
right.
So-
There's no damage as a component of that.
But his
Oh,
was
in
on
the mid
cooldown.
lane.
Okay, we're gonna get the drag onto the Axe Vengeance for their fallen Io, but can they turn this into something more? Ace, of course, has that ult on cooldown, but only for 10 more seconds. A kill on Tron would be nice, but if you duel the Sven, I'm not sure you're getting that duel win, especially with God Strength popped. You might be the ones taking it. Stormhammer, no, she comes in for it. The Stormhammer does go out. She has the Blade Mail active, so she could definitely get a kill here. But now with the Blade Mail down, they dust it up. Tron smacking around on Noya. Ace not ready to fight right now. Ghostic coming in as well. The Coconut bounces catch out Ace, and goodbye Legion Commander. They're looking for that vengeful spirit they're chasing. They should have this easily, and she turns around trying to buy some time for her team.
Blade Mail obviously has an intrinsic value on the Legion Commander, but with the Io sitting in those back lines, healing up Tron even through Blade Mail damage, and especially after, and the potential of that overcharge, not to mention, as we saw, the Death Ward damage, which is not reflected by Blade Mail. There are a lot of ways to respond to that.
There's also, I mean, we haven't discussed it too much, but duel here, it's been easy for her so far, but as we just saw, you can't so easily go on the Sven. If you don't go on the Batrider, maybe the Batrider pulls you away, and the Broodmother, of course, has that mischance in the duel.
Right.
With that passive, so it's not so easy.
Yeah, they have been getting these duels based on a lot of teamwork, right? You've almost always seen a Sunstrike on the location, the duel setting that up. You've seen a couple of Culling Blades coming in as well to make sure that that duel is there. They do have the Magic Missile and the Illuminate to add damage as well. Legion Commander has not been getting very many of these duels solo. It has been a team effort, and I think it will need to continue to be a team effort, especially in the face of, as you mentioned, that incapacitating bite, which will eventually be giving a majority chance miss, right?
Yeah, that passive is such a pain to play into when you're trying to be a right-click and carry, and we'll see. Broodmother, we haven't talked about her too much. She actually didn't end up getting the Orchid. I thought she was buying an Orchid because I saw two, what are they called? The little mana things. Oh, thank you, brain. Two Sage's Masks on her, and she instead turned one into a Vlad's and one into a Soul Ring.
That's an interesting choice. The Soul Ring is... It's nice to be able to get a Spawn Spiderlings anytime, and the Soul Ring gives you that coverage, because you do have the pretty good innate regen from the Spin Web and also Insatiable Hunger, not to mention the obvious passive benefits of the Vlads. You usually should be able to pretty easily justify the health expense to use the Soul Ring for a quick and guaranteed Spawn Spiderlings army. Like I said, not very uncommon, but this build is not in and of itself going to be enough in order to allow this Broodmother to do the side pushing that you normally see a Broodmother doing. Now in the mid lane.
Oh yeah, they're getting a jump in onto Pingvachek. Goodbye Invoker, and that's a dominating streak as well. The relocate coming out. So again, as you mentioned, they're getting everybody involved in this AoE gold, and that's just extra gold.
Right. The ideal number of heroes for you to have in terms of AoE gold mechanics is going to be 2 or 3. After that, you start to get some diminishing returns because the way the gold is distributed, you don't quite get as much across your team as a whole. And they've been doing a really good job of having 2 or 3 heroes around for all of these ganks, and also making sure that if there is a hero that is out kind of seemingly alone, they take the risk and take the fight almost every time, and it continues to open up some space for this Broodmother, whose Midas and whose split pushing is going to pay off in dividends in terms of just net farm later on. She's already second in the net worth, and she should relatively quickly jump up to number 1 if she's left alone any longer.
Now Sven gets to have a fun time pushing down that top tower. They still haven't made as much progress as you might expect, as you said, with the pushing Broodmother on the bottom lane, but she's been more interested in fighting. She has 8 assists, unusual to see on a Broodmother, and now...
Oh, another fight, potentially.
Yeah, they actually, I believe, got ghosted with the dust, and there's going to be a duel. Ozzy probably blown up here. Winner sold over that side, and now Ghostic getting very low. The relocate coming, or the blink in from Tron way too late. Tron is fighting them in that God Strength. The Death Ward now going out, but looking like both sides might just be able to disengage. Axe gets up the call. The stun stopping the Death Ward, and they have lost the Sven. Now Yol also looking like he's in a lot of trouble, but the Coconut's doing good work.
God, that Berserker's call armor is just rough for the Sven to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, both of them, right? Warcry also gives you a really large amount, 20 at this point, since he's maxed that out, and of course the Berserker's Call always just gives you that 40, but it's... Also for the Death Ward, we're gonna have a call that misses, and now take some magical damage, Sven. Oh, not Sven, Axe, have fun with that.
Yeah, he should be fine. But,
we're gonna have another duel
dear.
onto Yol, and oh goodness. That was a very fast duel. You don't want to tangle with the Legion Commander with a DD.
Yeah, this is starting to roll out of control. The snatch attempt is...
What? Wait, he was so close!
And yet, so far away.
The Aegis sat on the ground there for more than 3 seconds, I think.
It was enough time to make an attempt, but not enough time to make a safe attempt. And this is something that it's a really tough decision to make, because if you snatch an Aegis, compared to similar games with similar advantages, even if you successfully snatch an Aegis, your win rate goes down statistically. You're less likely to win the game by making an attempt to snatch an Aegis than by not making that attempt. So you really have to be using a lot of discretion when making that decision. Even if you do manage to get it, a lot of times you end up going down for it.
Yeah, just a quick pick there. It does reveal a ward location. If they also catch the Legion Commander, they've brought in a lot of heroes, and Ace doesn't have an escape.
Nice grab. That's a great grab for them. They don't have to use relocate on it. They don't really have to use anything of any substance to grab it. And obviously, Legion Commander sitting third in the net worth. Definitely a hero that has a pretty decent bounty. That's 650 gold going the way of RoX. Just like that for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and we haven't touched on this, but obviously in that last team fight that Danish Bears did win, they got about a 5k gold swing. We have a jump forward, another one vent. Oh, that was the smallest tornado in the world. There's going to be a call in the middle here. Again, you'll see Axe drag them a little bit deeper, but Tron should be just fine with that. Unfortunately, did just use what I think, yeah, that's a 9-second BKB. That's a really long one. Used it, kind of didn't get anything out of it, and they won't even finish off the tower.
Yeah, and they're actually going to be chased. The IO will probably go down here. There's not a lot of reinitiation potential, and they do have to worry about the swap as well.
Yeah, the tether wasn't on cooldown. Not too much IO could do there. The only good thing about that was there was no Legion Commander to get herself over 100 dual damage.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, she did just knock down a Broodling army of at least 20. So she's got a fair amount of gold just by not being there.
Oh goodness, they've gone for it. The Batrider gets the pull onto Pingvachek. As we talked about, this is a big kill if they can secure it. We've got TPs in. The Sunstrike going to be off the mark, and now a lot of them standing burning in the fire. Legion Commander is at the ready. She tries for it, but just short on that duel. And with this, I think a more traditional push will come out as folks return to the lanes.
Keeper Light very close to a Mechanism. Io also buying up most of his components for Mechanism while dead, about 500 away from a mech himself. Both teams itemizing somewhat similarly, and we do have a Desolator coming out from Broodmother. Remember, even during the draft, we had pointed out they probably are going to want something that helps them siege towers much faster because they don't have an innate tower damage hero. So Broodmother, not only now with the Spawn Spiderlings, but also with the Desolator, should be able to just ravage through any outer tier towers.
Okay, we have a BKB pop. There's going to be the duel onto Yol. There is no stopping this. That's the winner coming out, and now BKB's popped on both sides. In comes the Sven. He's trying to smack anyone, but he's getting kited around. But oh goodness, 1 or 2 smacks, and he rips right on through 2 of the members. And now Invoker going to respawn. Immediately dust up. He needs to do a tornado or something here to save his life. There are no more BKBs. He throws down an ice wall, but that's not going to be the right spell. And yes, we may have over 100 damage on the LC. Not sure it was enough here.
Not yet, but it will be eventually if they keep bleeding out those duels, right? So Sven, under the influence of his ult, is doing about 150 more damage per swing than the Legion Commander is. But Legion Commander attacks more frequently under the moment of courage, right? So you do have to worry about the fact that the Legion Commander pretty quickly is going to eclipse your Sven's damage output, his DPS, even when he's under the influence of his ultimate.
Ron does have the crits up. I think another thing just to be careful with on both sides, we saw there Sven got kited around quite a bit. It was also a hard place to fight in the trees, but both sides have excellent maneuverability tools, one being the bat, and then of course Io Paralyzing cost, there's a lot of slows. We have a bat
Oh.
and a relocate. Ace going down here, goodbye. And that's what we're talking about. That's some maneuverability on that side. And for Danish Bears, they always have the swap and the blind coming up from Coddle, so you have to be incredibly careful with both melee carries.
Meanwhile, Axe did try to solo move on to Ghostic and did not successfully do any damage at all and was forced to back in retreat. And now Ghostic is going to have some allies coming down here as well. They do want to knock down this tower. They can do this in pretty quick order with the influence of this Desolator and a potential God Strength Warcry available as well.
There's certainly potential, but Tornado RoX, I mean, yes, Axe has got
Oh
a
no,
couple
the
O's
courier.
in. Yeah, and not the courier that they're going for. The IO is going to get blown up. Courier's
If they
gonna
killed
be
the courier,
safe.
that would have been Mechanism for 3 minutes, though. It is sitting with Mech on it. It was trying to deliver to the IO, who had a full inventory. They very well could have denied that Mechanism.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Like, IO actually happens to be one of the other heroes that tends to do better statistically as you surpass an average number of deaths because the relocate saves. We haven't been seeing this IO do very many of those relocate saves, haven't been seeing him sacrifice himself to save other heroes that much, which makes his 4-7 record slightly worse in the grand scheme of things. But once again, IO, not a hero in and of himself that's worth very much as a kill. You don't necessarily feel the pain of having to lose that IO economically, just because his net worth tends to be very low.
I think it's interesting as well, because as you said, the mech is up on the IO. IO's a hero that normally has a very low net worth. You can see here, he's not exactly anything to write home about, but still, it's a hero that's very powerful when he does have items.
Yeah. He is a hero that is easy to underestimate, and easy to find yourself ignoring because he is slippery. He does tend to stay around the peripheries of fights. But if you can target him down to open a fight, you really cripple a team because, like you said, his contributions can be overwhelming, especially when he has net worth.
Yeah, so the push comes out from the lineup of Danish Bears. They're just kind of poking at it. I think they're hoping somebody walks a little out of position so that they can get a duel. But it's going to be looking like Axe going to give away the goose. And Tornado RoX, they have a relocate at the ready. But otherwise, they're not coming home.
Yeah, they're going to just give Tron as much farm as they can here. They do, like you said, have the relocate, but there's no defending this tower. They're just trying to get up some core items. BKB is going to be next on the Broodmother. She's getting sort of close, but she's still got some time. Before they get that BKB, I'm not sure that they can really feel comfortable going into a fight here. If they continue to lose fights and they continue to give damage to the Legion Commander, it doesn't matter if they're trading even. They will fall behind over time.
I just don't know if I have as much faith in the Legion Commander as you do.
It's a matter of how long do you let the game go, right, for RoX. If they continue to take these fights and trade okay, that drags the game out longer. That gives the Legion Commander more time to get dual victory damage. That makes her a bigger influence in these fights and a bigger problem. She does have a 9-second BKB available as well. She, by herself, shouldn't be enough to win the game. But you don't want to give her any additional advantages, right? You don't want to fight unless you feel comfortable that you're going to take a favorable enough fight to warrant potentially losing a duel. And right now, I just don't think RoX are there until they get a couple more items up. They just need to buy a touch of time to itemize, or they need to be getting some ganks where the Legion Commander can't be a factor.
Speaking of ganks, we're going to have Axe jump up, then that Rider goes in for the lasso. He might be dead before his team can respond. A Sunstrike will hit onto Ozzy. Ace coming in, really wants this dual damage, but they have to have some idea. And Ace now can't blink, runs through the fire. Gonna be able to blink in 2 seconds. Another sticky napalm thrown out. That's disabled, but the blink away. And nobody from Danish Bears able to react in time.
All right, the Daedalus up on the Sven is a good step in the direction that they wanted. His damage output now just shoots up, right? With that God Strength, the Daedalus crit is really difficult to play into. Even as a Legion Commander who is going to have a fair amount of armor and help, and she does have the moment of courage to help sustain her, Sven should be able to chew through her relatively quickly if she is not getting that help that she's been getting so far this game. And we're going to see that right here.
Sven goes in, jumps in, as you said. He doesn't manage to buy a crit. BKB comes out of Ace, but with both of them BKB'd up, it doesn't matter about that blade mail. We're going to see Venge fall on the back lines, and Sven ready to go in for more. He has a blink at the ready. The blind affecting him since his BKB is done, but not enough luck there. And now Ace being spat on. They are coming for this Legion Commander. There's a DD over to the right as well. Pingachek tries to throw down the Ice Ball. This may stop the engagement, but they lost 2.
They're going to lose a mid tier 2 here, almost certainly as well.
Not too much that Danish Bears can do to respond, and they haven't been able to find the pickoffs they need with the Legion Commander.
Yeah, once again, RoX doing a really good job of positioning themselves around this map so that Legion can't find those pickoffs that she's been otherwise finding. Also making sure that they're engaging just far enough away from her that she cannot counter-initiate. That seems to be the key for them. It's been working out so far. Roche is up, and they're going to take that instead of an objective, which I think is a really good call. Just deny this to the Radiant side. Make sure that they're manipulating that dire side advantage to the fullest.
And it's also something that'll help them siege. We've talked about it. You mentioned the Deso pickup on the Brood, but of course, having the Sven and the Brood pounding away on these towers, everything's going to be gone in a second.
All right, it's time to start choking out vision. There is a gem on the Batrider, and they want to start the suffocation. Make sure there's no vision out. Make sure that their initiation with the relocate and with the blink lasso is the only initiation possible. And you can see this Batrider is going around using sticky napalm to check every common warding spot on the high ground and absolutely restrict the jungle. Now, Danish Bears didn't happen to have any wards out here anyway, but if they did, either have sentry wards for the Broodmother or have observer wards for just general protection, they would be gone at this point. So RoX really preparing the boa constrictor grip.
Dire's structures are fortified.
They will trade out a tower for the opportunity, though.
Yeah, they're pulling back to their lead. I mean, they were at this type of lead earlier. They lost it in one big team fight. They're now leading in both in experience and farm, over 5,000 for both of those. I do think they're in a really good spot to just end this one out, but of course Danish Bears, they still have some nice tools. Ace hasn't gotten dual damage in what feels like 5 minutes though.
Yeah, the slowdown of that dual damage has been really the story of victory here for RoX. They're going to relocate in with the Sven under God's Strength.
Which means that they're getting the kill on bottom on Ghostic, just as I spoke too soon about the dual damage, and somebody who's coming back, wow, that was really whiff timing on the combo, but still, they're getting an IO for free. The coconuts finally land, but doesn't do enough work. I don't know if you saw, the Witch Doctor threw the coconuts at Ace to try and stop the TP, but everybody was out.
Yeah. The paralyzing cask, of course, one of the non-disjointable, reliable stuns in the game, which does make it useful for times like that. Also makes it useful against an IO in general. If you do see an IO relocating with a teammate and you throw that paralyzing cask, it will continue to bounce through them even as the relocate goes off because it is non-disjointable.
Yeah, so a nice little series of picks, and actually Ghostic being a huge pick for them. We'll see it reflected in the net worth if that...
Yeah, the decision to go top with the God Strength instead of just staying and trading a tier 2 for a tier 3 might come back to haunt them. Up until this point, for maybe the last 7 to 10 minutes, RoX have really been commanding the pace of this game. They've been at the driver's seat and forcing Danish Bears to come to them on RoX Kiss's terms. But now it's really kind of up in the air. Even without the vision, Danish Bears managed to manipulate that fight extremely expertly.
Yeah, and we are seeing a very rich Broodmother. We talked about this earlier, about how she's very able to kind of scale excellently.
Yeah, and this is honestly, she's not as well off as I would expect her to be. She's only got 3 kills, she's been getting a lot of assists, and she hasn't been getting very much solo time in her opponent's jungle, in her opponent's safe lane, like a Broodmother normally would, because she has been engaged in a lot of these fights, partially because Danish Bears have been bringing the fights to her and her team has been responding, and partially because she's been rotating around the map a lot, but she is not as well off as I would have expected her to be, and even so, she's still 3rd highest in the net worth, even barely cresting above that Legion Commander who's been doing so well.
Now, speaking of Legion Commander, she has finished up the full AC, obviously very nice here since there are lots of units attacking. Axis had the Crimson God for ages, it was his first major pickup, but he just finishes the Sheathers too. So we're beginning to see, I mean, If there's still a big Sven crit, it's not going to really help you so much, but it's a start.
Yeah. Also, there is a Solar Crest on the Vengeful Spirit, which is going to make the Sven's life a bit difficult. That mischance in duels, along with the negative armor, will make him a more pliable target in these fights for that long disable. If nothing else, you can force the Sven to not be focusing down the squishier targets to open the fights.
Additionally, his BKB is getting very low. The BKB would remove the blind. The BKB helps out with the Solar Crest and so on, and
right,
he's just not having it anymore.
Yeah, the BKB is running low, though. It's only sitting on 6, right? So he has one more non-5-second charge for the remainder of the game, and then the rest of these fights, you can bait out the BKB usually pretty successfully. A 5-second BKB is not that hard to wait out in most situations, especially on a Sven, who is a very kiteable hero.
Both of these teams do have issues with their cores being kiteable, and albeit we have an Aghanims up on the Witch Doctor, so there's some other stuff going on that Tornado RoX might feel like they have the advantage with, but with Avenge around, who makes it very easy to find where that Witch Doctor is. I mean, sure, maybe this Witch Doctor gets Aether to help with the positioning some. I'm not sure if it'll be enough.
Yeah, it could help with the positioning a bit, but really that only helps so far as he's able to get around the periphery safely anyway. Maybe even getting in for a Blink Dagger or Force Staff might be superior, especially since the Force Staff would also be usable onto the Bat Rider.
This smoke is going to find the best target possible. Sven blinks down, though. They really weren't expecting that, and they are all over the place. They are going to get the dual win onto the IO. The Sven still a really nice target. The swap comes out. He pops his BKB. They have to keep auto-attacking him. They have to disable his blink. They've got a couple of those, but now they're running uphill into Death Ward. Y'all, it's a double Death Ward with the Stormhammer, and now he is ripping on through people, but he fights Ace in the face, and Ace wins, and now y'all taking a lot of damage here. Death Ward is down, and it's looking like Danish Bears in a good spot, although Pingvachek trying to fight in the middle of all of these heroes, and he is in a lot of trouble. They throw out the fire break, but Noya probably gonna fall to these baby spiders. Let's see if Ace can help him out, and he does. Yep, and
a pretty successful disengage, especially considering the Bat Rider was sitting on top of a gem, so that Ghost Walk, not a guaranteed escape.
It wasn't the most amazing Ghost Walk of all time.
No, but the Ice Path kept the Bat Rider in place long enough. That Magic Missile also onto the Sven may have disabled the Sven for a couple of seconds, but allowed the Death Ward to continue through its duration. A bit of panic on the target for that. That was probably the most effective Death Ward we've seen so far this game, and really kept that entire fight from going the way of DB, like in a really devastating way. At least now it did go in favor of DB, but not in a way that could be converted into objectives.
And we're right back to even. It's been a while, but we're down to 0 net worth difference, and we're back to approaching that 0 experience difference. And you've talked about it time and time again, but Ace on that Legion Commander hitting like a truck.
Yeah. Still only, it's weird to say that she's only sitting at 146, because that's a lot of damage, but compared to her really good early start, she has slowed down substantially, and typically we don't see that for strong Legion Commander games. Typically if a Legion Commander gets off to a good start, that start tends to accelerate itself, because it's easier to get dual kills the more dual kills you get.
I think they... Okay, I'm not sure if they smoked right on top of a wood. I saw something weird happening there. Maybe Axe ate the wood, and then they smoked on top of it.
I don't think that the smoke was seen, but it is being killed here.
Oh gosh, and now another nice stun coming up from the Sven. He's gonna rip right through them, but Axe has jumped deep in. This fight is all over the place. I think Axe in a lot of trouble. The Death Ward isn't out yet. Danish Bears, oh goodness, the duel is coming out. This is gonna be a lost duel. Sven gets the winner damage, and they can't bring him down. She's all of their damage. Invoker's standing there trying to fight or something, but there is a gem on the deck. Tron in no trouble at all. And other than a buyback from the Bat Rider, Danish Bears get nothing.
Yes, that is a pretty good description of that fight. Danish Bears get nothing. Good day, sir.
And they're going to maybe... Okay, they should be losing Noya here, but Noya's doing an excellent job of running away, as you should. This is an excellent time in the game to run away. Well, the Flame Break gonna stop that, though, and Noya goes down.
One of the problems with that was that Legion Commander dueled Sven as the blade mail reflection buff was about to come off, so Sven got 3 or 4 good big swings in that fight that were not reflected to him, which it just heals him up with the Vlad's offering, right? That is available on the Broodmother, and Legion Commander can't go toe-to-toe like that right now, just because of the Daedalus and the Assault Cuirass.
They've caught out the Venge. Tornado does come out, so doing a decent amount of wave clear, but their RoX is exposed. God's Strength is up. Glyph's not going to save you now, and they don't want to use the buybacks. They're so close, so I think they're giving up a RoX for free.
Yeah, they will. This is difficult to come back for Danish Bears because of the amount of split push potential that an IO gives, as well as a Broodmother. Playing a RoX down against either of those heroes, it is intolerably difficult. So for Danish Bears, even though they do have decent late game with the Invoker and with the Legion Commander, even though their Legion Commander has a fair amount of stolen damage, they need to buy a lot of space in order to guarantee that they won't lose another set of RoX. They don't have a single tier 3 out. This is starting to look a little grim. For them, it's really about not picking any bad fights from this point forward. They really have to play perfectly.
Both teams are pretty much 2 mistakes away from GG. Because it's the same thing can be said for Tornado RoX. If they lose a team fight here, maybe don't have buybacks ready because they just completed a major item, they're losing RoX. There's no question about it. Both teams are more than capable right now to knock down towers lickety-split with alacrity with God's Strength and that Deso on the Broodmother. So.
Yeah. There's still no Desolator available here for Danish Bears, though, so that while they can push out waves extremely quickly, their tower damage is basically coming from the Invoker and the Legion.
Never mind, I thought Axe was maybe going to be able to get Blink disables off. Unable, wards go down. BKBs are popped, the duel going out, but Ace, the relocate save, and Ace not going to get anything. Death Ward is flying around, very little damage because everybody's armored up and saving some of their lives, but instead they do end up losing both, and this could just be Danish Bears' last stand since Ace was killed on the back lines.
Just, probably losing the Batrider there is not the end of the game, but if that Legion Commander hadn't been stuck in that duel for as long, she could have changed targets, which means she's doing damage around the fight. She could have healed herself up. She could have used overwhelming odds onto the Broodlings and onto the creeps that are nearby. The relocate save really had a much bigger impact on that fight than it at first appears.
Okay, Axe jumps in, gets a 3-man cold. The follow-up is coming out from the Invoker. A lot of damage. Everybody's very low. The Illuminate comes through. It's not quite enough. They still need to get these kills. Zeke on the backline is going to be jeweled up and destroyed. They managed to kill off 2. They need to find more for Danish Bears. The creeps are coming in on their mid lane. Yol just wandering away. Can they find the catch? Doesn't look like it. Yol's going to smoke them both and walk away.
All right, yeah, this is at least something. They did have to cost a buyback out of that. Sven does have a buyback, so they probably won't convert it into anything. Maybe a Roche, which Ghostic is checking. And Ghostic is probably going to hang out in the general vicinity. When Io is back up and Sven is back up, they will be able to relocate into the pit, so this will have to be a very fast Aegis steal.
No.
They're trying. They're going for it. The Sven has buyback, the IO doesn't. In order to engage into this, even if they want to, they need the IO up. So 24 seconds is plenty of time for them to grab this. This is Cheese as well.
Contest. As you said, Cheese, I don't know whether they do... Okay, they're putting it on Ace. Interesting choice, but makes a lot of sense. Invoker takes the Cheese. Both excellent carriers for that.
Right. You want to put... if you're going to throw Aegis on one and Cheese on another, obviously you can't use Cheese in duel, but if you do lose a duel by chance, or if you get very low in duel, the Aegis will still activate, so.
Yeah, I don't know, it's a very close game. I'm actually so surprised that they're able to do so much from so far behind. And it's just well played from Danish Bears. I did not expect this game to be this even. I kind of expected Tornado RoX to roll them.
They've been doing well throughout this entire game, and to Danish Bears' credit, they have been down kills this entire game, but because they have that Legion Commander, their strategy is not contingent on being even on kills. It's like if you have a bounty hunter, right, and you get that track kill gold, you don't necessarily have to trade 1-for-1 or be up on kills in order to be getting favorable outcomes in fights. And the permanent advantage that dual victory damage gives is somewhat similar. Legion Commander is sitting on top of an AC as well to help mitigate the Sven's AC. She is, in terms of net worth, still very far behind, though. She's about 10,000 net worth behind the Sven.
I mean, she just doesn't have the farming tools that he does. Re-cleave.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Still,
He also has an immense number of kills. I mean, he's got 12 kills. The Invoker is keeping up with him, though.
At the same time, we can also, you know, depending on how we categorize dual victory damage, you can argue that it makes up for some of that net worth difference. Neither here nor there. But yeah, this Sven, very big. I mean, bots and then you're done, kind of. Maybe, I don't think you ever say get rid of the BKB, but depending on how this game goes.
You do have to weigh how valuable is 5 seconds of magic immunity into a team that has 2 disables that go through magic immunity, right? For the Sven, you normally have to hold on to it because he gets kited so easily. But you do have a Bat Rider and an Io to help close the gap. At some point in time, he may consider dropping it just to grab some additional damage, maybe even a Divine if this game starts to become troublesome. But until they lose a RoX, they really don't have to worry about that. They still are sitting in favorable seats. Here we go, a fight!
Okay, we're gonna be seeing Sven immediately going to blow up. No, he's unable to. The swap comes out from the Venge, and now they are still doing a lot of damage, but the Death Ward has been spotted. There should be a dual easy win here. Double meatballs coming out of the Invoker, but still, the Sven, he's alive. He's getting kited now, and oh, the Ice Wall is down. No BKB. Broodmother's working on Ping Check. One smack. Rips on through. They still haven't killed the Sven. The blind comes out. Ace is trying to work on the Sven. Finally, they're doing something to him. A lot of minus armor, and they'll bring him down. Ghostic is still there, as is Yol. Another Illuminate comes on through. No, the Cold didn't actually hit on Ghostic, so he's gonna rip right through the... Oh! It is 2 for 2 alive. A head chop on the Bat Rider, and there's still 2 cores running around. Now they have their Axe in trouble from Ghostic. Can Ace find Yol? Needs the last hit, gets it. Axe does have no more call. He's gonna go down. No, he gets the heal out from the Legion Commander. She's thinking about turning this one around. Where is the gem? Nowhere in sight. I'm pretty sure they are fine for Ghostic, and that's like, oh, okay, Bat Rider's thinking about it, but no, oh no. The duel is back up by now, and RoX giving away that kill onto Biz.
That was a dieback into a duel win. That's the official 200 duel damage mark for a Legion Commander, having earned it over a very rough course of the game. Now Ghostic wants a piece of her.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting a piece of it. He may actually bring down Ace, but still, Ace got a mad amount of work done there. Trying to just walk it off, you know, it's difficult. She's going for it. She still has a BKB
and Aegis
oh no,
still.
She's dead. She does. Oh, but they relocate. They relocate out. Ozic took Ghostic back with him. Maybe let's be real. Maybe the better thing to do. There wasn't a web there. Jules coming off a cooldown.
Yeah.
Ace may have just murdered the Broodmother.
It's the I'm not going to let you make a mistake that you'll regret moment for the IL.
But that was a team fight.
That was a couple of team fights. Really got broken up, but slapped apart.
There wasn't enough zoom. I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to zoom all the way out. I was like, please don't.
Yeah, that was a fight that you could see from space, like the Great Wall of China, right? And the Broodmother almost securing the kill there, but having not had an inventory spot for a while for that Soul Ring we saw earlier in the game, you just saw exactly the sort of situation.
Gosh, there's another duel. Ace isn't done. He's getting more, and now Tron forced to pop that BKB. Man. I think he should just be able to walk into his base. But Ace just having the game of his life.
No buyback on the IO, and that is a big part of Tron's survivability in these fights. Now, granted, he does have the Monkey King bar up now. He does have a Satanic up. He's basically 6-slotted. He can maybe get rid of the Black King bar if he feels comfortable dealing with the potential disable, but that's a very risky call. And he can get rid of the treads for travels. Other than that, he's pretty much there. He's pretty much as beefy as he is going to get.
Now, looking at the positioning as well, they did a really good job on Danish Bears. While Ace was around murdering people, the rest of the team pushed up this mid lane, so they are actually able to even up the Rax odds. And look at Ace go. He 10-shot that, I think. The Legion Commander is huge. Oh, goodness, that was a 4-shotting the Rax. Now, going in on the melee, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, like 8.
She's doing over 500 damage. Well over 500 damage.
And that's not including Alacrity.
Hit. Right, and even without Alacrity, she's almost attacking twice per second. Right, like this is This is what I was talking about with that dual damage stacking up over time. Eventually it becomes untenable. The Sven has a natural cap. His natural cap is Everest sized. It is gigantic. He is a Leviathan, but he eventually hits a limit. Where Legion Commander become Olympus Mons, for Christ's sake, right? She never has to hit the sky.
Yeah, it's unlike, I'm trying to think, it's basically like, it's similar to Pudge and Silencer, how you can argue they have no cap on those spells, except Silencer technically does have a cap because you can't steal anymore if you have no more int, but you never hit that in a game. But goodness gracious, I was really expecting the team fight from Tornado RoX to be dominating, and I'm eating my words here. I'm very impressed by Danish Bears, and speaking of being impressed, Sven being brought back a little bit. Legion Commander, she's at the ready. Hello, dual damage. Don't relocate. She's gonna get it. She is taking a lot here. No, the swap on the wrong hero. They swap back the Sven, but Legion Commander still stuck in all of them. Now the Deafening Blast, but Pinguchek taking a lot of damage. Refreshes that. Drops double Meatball, and Tron goes down to the overwhelming magic damage. No long-time BKBs. Ghostic is seen. They see everything. They don't even need the Legion Commander to win these team fights. And Danish Bears, they can maybe take bottom. The creeps are in good position. Mid's going to be pushing in.
They can push in mid and take throne, to be honest.
Yes, they could just
the
end the
Sven
game.
can't buy back.
You're right. They could just go for the smart, let's end the gameplay. They're going to push, they're going to break top because that's further
Are
away
they
from
aware
Roshan.
that the Sven doesn't have buyback here?
They
Let's
might not
see.
know. He does
No,
have,
they don't know.
Yeah, because he
They-
has it
now
based
they
on
know.
timer.
Right.
But he doesn't have it based on gold because he bought out the MKB. To
But
deal with all
still a
this
full
blind.
minute. Without the Sven, I don't think they can win a fight here. The Legion Commander's gotten too far out of control. The Axe is doing too good of a job controlling the throttle of these fights with his Berserker's Call, never letting them focus down the Legion Commander in the way that they have to. Mega Creep's coming
That's
out
it.
here against RoX, and
I
they're
think you
going to
just
hold
keep
on
pushing.
until the throne, but it's coming, right?
I mean, we've seen this show
Yeah.
before. Ace like 4 shots towers. Okay, it's taking like 8 shots. I was wrong. How many on the Ancient? We're gonna have a pullback, but the swap, Venge being Venge, and this game comes to a close. Danish Bears up 1.
Woo! What a slugfest at the end there. It tipped down a little bit in the middle, but my god, that was a barn burner.
That was not the game I was expecting to have for this set. But folks, that was exciting. We're gonna hurry and get you right into game 2 because everybody's raring to go. Once again, I'm Llama Down Under. I've been joined by the Wonder Cow casting with me. We've got Scansor on stats. Please throw everybody some love or hate or whatever you're into on Twitter, preferably something nice, cat pictures. But we'll get you guys into that game 2 right quick. Will be a short wait as everybody gets into the lobbies. Probably a really short wait with the state of that game. See you shortly, folks.